that are advocating, environmental health. You would think that would be one of the major things, but because it's all God's creation. But I don't know where I was going with that.
The question was, do you believe that there are limits to?
Oh yeah. So I believe due to a lack between, like with our free will, where we're choosing all these greedy and selfish reasonings, we're separating ourselves further from His teachings, and I believe a lot of Jesus's teachings have been hidden from us. I do believe that the Bible and other things, the real secrets and the real stories are hidden in the Vatican, just like the Thanksgiving story that we all grow up learning, only come to find out when we're in our 20s that, oh hey, it wasn't a good thing that the Indians went over to the Pilgrims, because the Pilgrims were trying to show their stuff and shoot cans and light up their guns, and the Indians came to check it out and said, what the, are you doing? Okay, and they just happened to be having dinner about that time, and so the Indians were like, what? So you're gonna shoot guns and you're gonna let us eat, right? So I feel like it's one of those situations where, we're not in contact with that realm, so we don't realize that we can't heal His earth. We projected all that Jesus did it, but we're supposed to be like Jesus. Therefore, we're supposed to at least try to do what He did, including sending that intentionally directed mental activity, that you can use with stuff like neuroplasticity and stuff, because if neuroplasticity works, why wouldn't healing energy work? Because if it is a matter of mind over matter and stuff as well.
Well, neuroplasticity is a different thing, which the brain almost in a way repairs itself in a way that it accommodates. It's a more
the body part repairs, but the tissue in the brain does not.
It grows in another area, because if you look at the brain scans, whenever they did this movement, okay, that part of the brain lights up. Well, months later or years later, whenever neuroplasticity occurs, whenever they do it, another part of the brain lights up, just the same as that part did, but that part's still gone.
Yeah, that part's gone and another opens up, so that part is still
right.
not
But see, that's
working.
the neuroplasticity. That part doesn't work. You're right, but the neuroplasticity is where it's able to.
Right, but
work
that
on
part
the
of the
spot.
brain isn't not what's making this side do it. That is simply compensating and finding the pathways, like it where the part that was working was. It's basically like a bypass, like you would do like a heart surgery, right? Like for
Exactly, yeah. So
it's
that's
just
bypassing all the
bypassing it.
energy to go there. This part of the brain is still dead, don't get me wrong. But this part of the brain is the part that has taken over for that part, so it allows that to happen.
Yes and no. I mean, I feel like maybe for the impulses, the electrical impulses, but I mean, as far as its actual influence, I don't feel like that part of the brain has the actual influence that the dead part did.
Well, if you mean as far as it will ever be as good as the
Quite
original.
simply, the whatever tissues were affected, I think it is the cell memory, and whatever you're thinking, like with phantom pain. When you think you have pain, you think you have pain regardless of whether that one's there or not.
that's that. But when we're talking about the brain, pain and the sensation, the part of the brain that feels the pain, I can't remember what part it is, but it's toward the center of the brain, and that is one part. And there's actually a disease where people actually feel pain for no reason.
Right.
And that's the part of the brain that does that. That's responsible for that. But as far as this part of the brain being dead, it's not like we don't have an explanation for why it works. Now I can see where you could say that
We don't really, because that's why neuroplasticity is such a big developing topic, because it is just now being really explored and discovered with how it works.
The thing is, though, is that you can still it explains it, though. In other words, it's not necessary that you have to have this other supernatural phenomenon. I'm going to say that it's almost miraculous in the way that it happens, because those people are very fortunate that it happens, and if you work on it, you can get it to work. But the thing is that I don't see how.
But I think in that case, if you took two people, one being non-spiritual, non-religious, and the other being spiritual, religious, you can bet that this non one is not going to have that effect. Yeah.
But see, I
I
have
mean,
to
so how do you
research
explain
that.
that? Because that would be, I mean, how can we? Because these are
You'd have
concepts.
to look at people who had, it'd be like a medical history of people.
Right,
who
but
had
that's what I'm
didn't.
saying. They haven't gotten there with these studies yet.
Well, then,
I don't think. I mean, I don't think they
well,
would
then
have thought.
this is
to-
all just mere speculation, and it's not really factual. It's just saying I think, and at that point, it's really kind of.
No, but I mean, like, they're definitely relevant theories that. I mean,
They're interesting ideas.
I mean,
but
because
simply-
because the thing is, they talk about you can't scientifically prove religion.
No.
Well, through things like this, you
You
can't.
can't
Why would they
scientifically
do that?
prove science either. Science is not. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that
Well,
science.
yeah,
can't
I mean, I
account for.
agree with that. I think.
And
you
the
know,
science
that's
itself
about
is
that,
one of the things it can't even prove. And it's
Right.
not even a real proof in the mathematical sense that it's a direct 100% proof. It's evidence that you get based on the things, which is why this area is still great because I had
But
to
you,
look
and
it up.
I mean,
You said
like,
there's
well,
not enough evidence.
we
to
have
draw
plenty of
conclusions.
evidence supporting the theory that people with cancer, the people that are spiritual, have a better chance at recession and usually go into recession versus the people that don't. Like, that's been commonly
But
known
also,
since
that's like saying
cancer
that
was
laughter is
around.
like the best medicine, and saying that generally people who are happier tend
Right.
to do better.
But they can scientifically prove that, and they prove that because
Yeah.
it raises the endorphins and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So how can they not test religion and spirituality in that way? If it
Because
has
that
effect?
is that means that a religious person, yes, would if a religious person is happier, that means that the endorphins would help in whatever way that they help. But if you took an atheistic person, a person who doesn't believe in any spirituality, and they were happy too, which again, they may be out there, probably is someone like that, then that would have the same effect because it would release the same endorphins. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yes, but I think I disagree in the sense because I think when it's actually tested, that it won't be like that. I really feel like the people that are atheists are not going to be truly happy because I feel like when you are not in tune with that divine presence, like I believe we need atheists. I believe we need, to make the world go around and everything. But I believe that because of that lack of relationship, that the effect will not be the same and that they will not have that endorphin or they will have a lesser amount.
That's an interesting
of
idea,
endorphins.
and one that would actually be pretty awesome to be able to scientifically go into. But as far as that, there was another issue that I wanted to address about its limitations. You, I don't know, do you believe that Gandhi or the who's the guy that the Dalai Lama? That's the guy. Do you believe he is on par with where Jesus was?
Quite honestly, I haven't heard of them doing a lot of healing per se. Now they do a lot of advocating, for Tibet and freedom. Now, as far as healing, I'm not personally aware of what they have done. I do know they advocate meditation a lot, which when you give yourself Reiki and stuff like that, meditation is huge. Meditation is an amazing foundation for
that is a
a
scientific-
variety of things,
Yes, it does
Um,
actually scientifically. It is actually proven that meditation does help.
Right, but like as far as what I would like, great healers, like I can kind of think of Edgar Cayce, like the sleeping healer. That's a kind of a good example. Well, and actually, there's a lot of Christian churches. I know. When I went to Evangel when I was little, and there was a guy named Jerry B. Walker, and they did that thing where they by the Holy Ghost, and these
See,
people were
as a
healed.
Christian, I really don't believe that. But
And I think it's the same concept. It's that combination of that person's willingness and intention to
But see-
get and receive that healing, and the person giving it.
But they don't really believe that per se. They believe more that it's God doing the healing.
I completely agree. That's what I say. I'm only a vessel.
Right.
I'm not doing the healing.
Exactly.
The
And
energy
that's
comes
a
from
whole-
me. It
that's
goes
a whole-
where it goes.
Yeah, and that's a whole, totally different subject. But my whole problem is that I believe, as a Christian, I do believe, the Bible and everything that it says, and I believe Jesus went around and did the healing. But I believe that Jesus was able to do the healing because he was God, and that only that healing in that particular thing can be given or appointed to another person by God. Hence the disciples and the apostles, how he said you could do these works. that the
And when you
apostles
think
do.
they would want to keep this secret,
But
when
see,
you
that I
think
don't
they
believe
would
is-
keep this secret
No.
and put it secretly down the line,
No,
and
because
only certain people
here's
are
the
supposed
thing.
to have